Welcome to Evolve Together with Empower People, where people are power. I'm Tiffany Joy Green, MBA. Here, clarity cuts, humor heals, and purpose drives transformation. Join the movement at www.empowerpeople.org and connect with us on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Facebook, because when people are power, purpose wins. Welcome to Evolve Together with Empower People. I'm Tiffany Joy, and let me tell you, we don't tiptoe through the headlines here. We kick the door open, call the mess what it is, and then dig for the purpose underneath. This week, America's headlines look like a Netflix series nobody asked for. A Colorado school shooting, a Ukrainian refugee stabbed on a Charlotte train, Charlie Kirk assassinated mid-speech, inflation climbing, jobless claims spiking, WWE promising a game-changing surprise, and the country doom-scrolling hashtags about 9/11 and football like both are national therapy. It's heavy, it's absurd, and it's ours to dissect, not just to watch. Let's get into it. Another school, another gun. Another headline we shouldn't have to read. Evergreen High School in Colorado. 16-year-old Desmond Hawley opened fire, wounded 2 classmates, and then turned the gun on himself. Investigators say he'd been radicalized online. 2 classmates were shot, one inside, one outside. Students locked down, practiced the drills we never wanted them to know by heart. Officials scrambled to explain what wasn't prevented. This is what happens when systems treat children as statistics, not souls. Radicalization thrives in isolations. Guns appear where belonging fails. Safety drills aren't safety, they're coping mechanisms for systemic negligence. The real wound isn't just the bullets, it's the culture that let a child believe violence was his only voice. Purpose demands prevention, mental health access, online radicalization awareness, actual protection, not just post-tragedy press conferences. Irina Zarutska survived Russia's war in Ukraine. She fled to the U.S. for safety. This week, she was stabbed to death on a Charlotte commuter train. The accused attacker has a long record and mental health history. Federal prosecutors charged him under mass transit laws. State leaders are pointing fingers about how someone this dangerous slipped through the gaps in security and mental health systems. Refuge is geography. Safety is systems. If a young woman can flee war and die on her commute here, what kind of refuge are we really offering? Protection is more than paperwork. It's prevention. Refugees don't need a new address. They need actual safety. You can escape a war zone and still be ambushed by America's failures. Purpose means making community the shield, not in words, in action. Mental health care, transit safety, real accountability. Charlie Kirk, a man whose rhetoric punched down on marginalized people, was assassinated mid-speech in Utah. Trump now says, with a high degree of certainty, we have him, referring to a suspect turned in by someone who knew him. Kirk was a figure who thrived on stoking division. His death is tragic, but let's be clear, tragedy doesn't sanctify ideology. What matters now is what narrative we let grow in the aftermath. Vengeance, myth-making, or accountability. When rhetoric breeds hate, violence becomes predictable. Purpose calls us to reject martyrdom myths and resist turning death into validation of division. Violence doesn't wash words clean. It echoes them. Purpose demands leaders speak responsibly before the gunshot, not just mourn the responsibly after. Let's talk wallets, because they're thinner than my patience. Inflation in August jumped 0.4%, the biggest rise since January. Year over year, it's up 2.9%. And jobless claims, highest in nearly 4 years. That means groceries cost more, rent's still climbing, and jobs are scarcer. People are paying more to live and making less to survive. Economists call it stagflation. I call it a crisis of dignity. When your costs go up and your chances go down, hope becomes the rarest currency. And when hope collapses, society cracks along its weakest lines: race, class, geography. Numbers on a chart aren't the story. Families juggling rent, groceries, survival, that's the story. Inflation and unemployment aren't abstract. There are eviction notices, skipped meals, unpaid prescriptions. Purpose says support the people first. Fair wages, food and housing assistance, real job creation. Numbers don't eat, people do. WWE says they've got a game-changing environment dropping at 3 p.m. Fans are buzzing. Saudi WrestleMania, John Cena in hologram form, or maybe The Rock finally running for office. It sounds silly, wrestling as a headline, but it's not. This is spectacle economics. When people are exhausted, they want distraction. Institutions, whether entertainment or political, know this. When trust fails, spectacle sells. Purpose asks, what's real? What's distraction? What's anesthetic? Because when people trade outrage for entertainment, power gets away with whatever it wants while we're cheering the next suplex. Wrestling may be scripted, but so is politics if we're not paying attention. Entertainment is fine, escape is human, but don't let escape become anesthesia. Today's trending feed, hashtag never forget, the Packers, the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, Tucker Kraft, iPhone 17 links, and Netflix glitches. Grief, football, gadgets, panic, America in one scroll. We hashtag 9/11 but don't always reflect. We scream about football plays like the economy isn't on fire. We panic over Netflix buffering while democracy is buffering harder. And somehow, Apple convinces us a new iPhone will heal the nation. Trends aren't truth, they're smoke. They show us what we're loud about, not what we're willing to fix. Purpose reminds us the loudest isn't always the most important. Hashtags fade, purpose doesn't. Your phone's battery dies, your purpose doesn't. Use your feed to amplify what matters, not just what entertains. From a school hallway in Colorado to a Charlotte commuter train to a Utah campus stage to the grocery store checkout line to the hashtag circus of our feeds. America is loud this week, but loud isn't always clear. Purpose is clarity. Purpose is accountability. Purpose is prevention. That's why we do this. Not to doom scroll, but to decide. Not to fear, but to focus. Not to consume chaos, but to evolve together. Join Empower People. Don't just watch. Belong. Activate your superpower at empowerpeople.org. Remember, Empower People is where people are power. Let's evolve together.